Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Star Trek Voyager, Season 3, Episode 13, Fair Trade. This episode was so close to me actually really liking it, but it has such a good potential plot where if I just told you what it was about, you'd be like, that sounds really good. But I feel like the execution of this episode was done really poorly. Now, for starters, this episode came out after Season 5, Episode 10 of Deep Space Nine. The only reason that's important is because after First Contact, in First Contact we see the Next Generation crew and they're wearing the gray outfits, the ones that I really don't like. Whereas in Deep Space Nine, that series, after the mid-series season break, they went to that outfit as well. This episode came out after that one, and so officially Voyager is now out of dress code compared to the Next Generation, compared to Deep Space Nine. They're only ones that wear like the color on the top and black on the bottom, which I actually really like. So I think that's interesting just to know. I don't know why. Random trivia for you guys. So this episode is about, like I said, the premise will sound super interesting. The episode is about Voyager coming to this region of space. It almost looks like a nebula, and Janeway calls Neelix up there, and Neelix is like, "Oh yeah, let me get back to you about this." So he finds another Talaxian to basically get a map. All sorts of stuff goes wrong. Stuff goes missing. I know I'm boiling it way down just because I didn't like it. So the other Talaxian is not as honest as he seems to be. And, I think it was Chakotay and Paris end up, getting in trouble for, 50 years of Cairo prison is brought up. Which, to me, if it is what it seems like, cryogenically frozen, 50 years wouldn't seem that bad. You'd wake up in the future, you wouldn't know anybody, whatevs. But anyways, the episode boils down to Neelix basically lying to Janeway and trying to lie, cheat, and steal to get maps of the Delta Quadrant, because as of this point, it's almost like that scene in Lord of the Rings where, if I take one step further, I will have been as far away from home as I've ever been. Neelix doesn't know anything anymore. He's never been this far out in space, and so he tells Janeway, I really don't know anything else. I've used up my usefulness to you. And Janeway's like, you lied and got us into all this trouble because you didn't know what's after this. And that, I don't know, that seems so, it has so much potential of Neelix trying to fake his way through the Delta Quadrant, but this one episode just used it up. I would have loved for this to have been a story arc where Neelix is just faking it. It's where a song comes on and you're trying to sing the lyrics, but you've never heard the song before. I would have loved that to have been a long story arc, but instead it's just done and played throughout this whole episode. Another interesting note is we meet Ensign Vorik in this episode, which they do a story arc. From this episode, it's the next 4 episodes, he actually has a story arc where he's introduced in this episode, where he plays a Vulcan ensign. If he looks familiar, it's because he's played by Alexander Enberg, which, again, name might not sound familiar, but he also played a Vulcan ensign, Torek, in Lower Decks for the Next Generation. Some people have even said that Torek and Vorik are twin brothers, because they're played by the same actor, they're both ensigns, whatever. But as soon as he showed up, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So that was kind of cool, but like I said, they do a storyline for him, I've mentioned before over and over again how Voyager and the Next Generation remind me a lot alike, because the first episode, or the beginning of the episode and the end of the episode are the exact same. You end exactly where you begin. Whereas Deep Space Nine had these long story arcs where things were, you didn't know what was going to happen. Oh, Odo lost his powers. He's not going to get them back by the end of the episode. It would take a while. Oh, this major character has disappeared. When's he going to come back? Who knows? Oh, we're 8 episodes in the season, and it turns out that one of the characters has been a changeling for half the season already. We didn't know it. Long story arcs. Voyager tries that with some of the major, with some of the minor characters in the B storylines. For example, Vorik or Wildman being pregnant, stuff like that. But some of these bigger characters, I want the big storylines. Like, I would have loved for Neelix to be faking it for a long time instead of just this one and done type of episode. Because they'll never bring it up. I can guarantee you, without watching the rest of the series, they'll never be like, oh, Neelix, do you remember how you lied and faked it through, like, X amount of weeks through the Delta Quadrant? It's not going to happen. So, for those who have seen this one, what did you think about Neelix and using up his usefulness? What do you guys think about Ensign Vorik being played by the same actor? Go ahead, let me know. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you guys next time for Alter Ego.